Yeah. I'm gonna share stuff with y'all again and again and again. Give me a minute. I'm just changing real fast, y'all. Give me 1 second. Let me change my shirt. Take this stuff off real fast. Give me 1 second. I kind of got caught in the rain earlier. Yep, we on Noble. I got you. Oh, let me pull up my notes real fast. But it's a strange world we live in, ain't it, y'all? Beautifully. It's a beautiful, strange world we live in. But for all my Moors, my brothers that be arguing over semantics, you gotta stop it and get into the science. That's what really changes your life, man. All that paper terror stuff, man, is low energy. And when I show y'all this brotherhood, this united brotherhood, what trumps everything, y'all gotta live, y'all got to see. When I ask all Moors that's supposed to study the science, I said, have y'all studied the Moorish Quran? Everybody on here that got L's and bays. I asked you, have you studied the Moorish Quran? Yes or no? Because I'm asking these questions before I get my juice, before I get started. All the L's and bays that follow me, that's here, especially the ones that say that they the Moorish Science Temple of America and this and that and the other, and they be arguing with people on social media, you know, and I say, have you read your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? And I want to see what Moors say. I want to see what some of these bays say and these L's that be out here with that sovereign citizen stuff, and your heart don't even be right, and you're not practicing wisdom. Because I gave the Islamic phrase for wisdom yesterday, didn't I? But this is for the Moors that be getting things misconstrued. Have you read your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? Because if anything, we should have a level of wisdom. So once again, for all my Moors that say they study Moorish science, I gotta pay my storage unit. I didn't even see that. That was today. Yeah, that was today. For all the so-called Moors, have you read your Moorish Quran? And if you read your Moorish Quran, do you know where your Moorish Quran is gathered and compiled from? Because a lot of brothers not practicing wisdom. Hikmah. Research what hikmah mean. Hikmah. Hikmah. Just research that for all my brothers that be judging and all this and shouldn't a person do this and all that. But do you have any light, any wisdom? Do you have the light of hikmah? And that's what I say a lot of these Moors when y'all get into that debating and arguing with your brother over religious folly. Brothers don't have any wisdom. because you're looking at the toothpick in someone's eye and you have a log in yours. People look at the toothpick in someone's eye and they have a log in their own eye, right? You have a toothpick in your eye, or looking at the toothpick in someone else's eye, but it's a whole log in your eye. So once again, we live. I want to ask all the brothers that be on social media, because I be seeing them arguing with other people and other people inboxes, especially these L's and Bays. I said, have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? That's all I ask. And let's see what brothers say, and watch how things be misconstrued. Have brothers on here that are always coming with that a sovereign citizen law stuff, with all that UCC criminal stuff, with all that Roger Elvick paradigm group stuff. Have you read your Moore's Quran? Those that say they Moors, that's all I ask. The ones that be professing things. Because if they did, then they should have a level of peace, a level of light. And if they did, then we're gonna have to agree. If not, then they pushing their own they pushing their own lower self. Once again, I ask the brothers that have L's or Bays on here that promulgate this Moorish stuff all day long. I say, have you read and studied the Moore's Quran? Yes or no? I'll never get an answer. But then you go on these people's page, they got all type of stuff like they know this and they know that, and they trying to tell somebody some law, and they ain't did none of the stuff that they posting cases of stuff. I said, have you done it? Nope. Well, that's a pointer. That's a pointer. Or we can do this case that you ain't done it. That's a pointer. But once again, I want to do this before I play this film. I'm only 8 minutes in. Brothers that have the L and the Bays after their name, that study Moorish science, per se. Have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? That's all I ask. And let's see what brothers say. Because then if you say yes, then I'm going to ask another question. If you say no, then I'm going to say, why not? You see? So the first thing I ask all the L's and Bays on here, have you read your Moore's Quran? Let's see what the L, because I'm on TikTok and I got some L's and Bays on here. It should be some more people pop on here. I ask everybody this, and I'm like, how you studying Moorish science and you ain't even touched the Moore's Quran? You ain't even read it. You don't understand it. You don't breathe it. You ain't pick it up every day. I ask all Moors that Bays, that talk about they study Moorish science, have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? There's some L's and Bays on here. And this is what I be cracking up. People like, what? Well, what should I study? I say, what you mean what you study? Come to class. You come to class to study. Moors be all with the fake paper stuff. All that bum stuff, that poor science stuff. Once again, I ask the L's and Bays that's on my TikTok page. They don't say nothing. I say, have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? Because if you say yeah, then it's going to be a next question I'm going to ask. If you say no, I'm going to ask you why. And nobody says nothing. You go on these people's page, they know so much. If we have a holy book that's gathered and compiled and divinely prepared, I want to see what people say. I want to see what the L's and Bays say, because that's the confusion. That'd be the confusion right there. People be trying to come up with their own thing and say, oh, well, no, that's not this. You can take this and that and the other and synchronize things. But I talk about Moors that promulgate things that say they L and Bay and they never read the Moore's Quran. That's all I ask people. Have you ever read the Moore's Quran? Those that have L and Bay after their name. I'll wait and see. Because I don't have to play the film. I just want to wait and see what people say. And I'll be like, that be the issue. Those that's L's or Bays, male and female, that's on my page. Once again, I'm asking the brothers that got L or Bay. Because there's L's or Bays on my page. I said, if we have a holy book and we study a certain science and we're supposed to know the basics, and our prophet in our science gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared a holy book, which is the Moore's Quran, that's gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared from some other holy wisdom, the first thing I ask all y'all Moors, have you read the Moors Quran? This all I ask. This all I ask the Moors, that be having more of this and more of this and L this and that and the other. And then you will see them and they never have touched the Moors Quran. Never. And I say this is a divine movement. So once again, I'm asking all the ones that's on my TikTok page, all the L's and Bays that be following me, all the Bays from everywhere, the L's that be on social media saying this, I ask them, have you read your Moors Quran? Yes or no? All the people that's on my TikTok page, all the L's and Bays. Because it be a lot of people that's on my TikTok page right now, and they be professing all this stuff. So all I ask is this a divine movement? First, a divine and national movement, yes. So have you read your holy book, which is the Moors Quran? And I'm just asking the L's and Bays on here. Everybody hasn't studied Moorish science, so you probably wouldn't know what the Moorish Quran consists of. But I'm asking all these Moors a simple question. And why we can't answer this if we got Bay and L after our name and we study Moorish science? I asked a simple question. I said, have you L or Bays that say you study Moorish science and the teachings and our Holy Quran, have you ever read it? Yes or no? Because if you say yes, then I'm going to ask you another question. If you say no, I'm going to ask you why. That's a yes or no question. That's a yes or no question. And that's what I be saying. I be like, that be the confusion. We have a holy book, and people ain't never, ever, ever touched the Moorish Quran. People ain't never, ever read it. They don't even know it by heart. You know, they ain't read it over and over and over. It's so much wisdom in that Moorish Quran. People are like, what should I read? I should read. I said, the Moorish Quran. I mean, everything is in there, just like the Bible. The Moorish Quran is just compilated of a whole bunch of other wisdom, ancient wisdom that's written, that can be proven. Where it come from. That's why Noble Drew Ali said he gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. So once again, I'm asking the Moors, because like I said, I don't have to play the film. Those that's L or Bays that be arguing on social media with other people, because I be seeing y'all, and I be like, that's no wisdom. I just talk about that form of wisdom. Brothers don't be having it. That's a form of light. We don't argue. We don't debate with no brothers and sisters. We don't do that. We don't be on nobody's inboxes arguing over them, over semantics. That's not science. That's no wisdom. That's no light. People say all this and that, and I say, I just broke the wisdom down. That's no light. I broke it down the phrase Islamically. That's no light. That's no care. That's no patience. It's just like those other religious Hebrew Israelites. Oh, you doing this, you have no light. Or you supposed to have a beard. You don't have no beard. All that stuff is semantics. So once again, I'm asking my Moorish brothers and sisters that say they study the science. Have you read your Moorish Quran, yes or no? That's a simple question. And that's a simple question for the ones that's on my TikTok page, that's Bays and L's. That's a simple question. And I just want to see, will people be honest? For we can continue to build. I'll wait and see. Do anybody say anything? Because there's some L's and Bays on here. I saw them. There's some L's and Bays on here. I'm just asking a simple question. Come on, anybody? Any of the L's and Bays? Have you read your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? Any of the L's and Bays on here? Yes or no? And people that ain't study science, ask the L's and Bays on here. Say, have y'all? Say, have y'all studied the Moorish Quran? I'm asking the brothers and sisters that everything they have, more this, more this. I say, have you studied your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? Everybody that got more this, L this. Yes or no? Because if you have, we're going to build on something. If you haven't, I'm going to ask you why not. And let's see what people be honest. And we haven't even got into nothing. I haven't got no one say, yep, I read it, or no, I haven't studied the Moorish Quran. And then I'm going to ask you, well, how long you been studying Moorish science and haven't studied the Moorish Quran? I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll see if I get any responses. Ah, I'll see if I get any responses. 'Cause I haven't got none yet. We only 16 minutes in, so we doing good. So I still wait. I want to say once again. I asked the question. All the L's and B's that's on my TikTok. Have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? Because if you did, then I'm gonna ask another question. If you didn't, I'm gonna ask you why. And what I'm trying to see if brothers can be honest. Have the L's and B's read their Moore's Quran and know it? Yes or no? I'll give it. I got a couple more minutes. Let's see what anybody say. This is what I'll be saying. I said, how can you profess something and you ain't ever read your Moore's Quran? Like how? Like where? Like how? How? And then as a map and a guide, like myself and others, we have the manuals. Like if the Moore's Quran was gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared, well, that means it comes from some sources. And in the Moore's Quran, it gives some of the sources, some of the holy books, right? 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 I'm just waiting for some more stuff. You know, let me know, or let me know either way that no, man, I ain't read the Moore's Quran. That's why brothers be arguing, because they don't have no wisdom or no light. Because you can't agree to nothing from wisdom and from spirituality if you ain't ever studied it. Brothers arguing strictly on some paper stuff. Once again, I'm gonna ask the question one more time for all my L's and B's that's on my TikTok page. Have you ever read your Moore's Quran? Because if you did, it's another question I want to ask. But if you didn't, like I said, I want to know why. And nobody answered the question. And I'll be seeing all of them posts of just outlandish things, brothers and sisters arguing with people, and I'll just go back to the basics. Because I can go all the way back to the prerequisites. I say, listen, have you studied your Moore's Quran, L's or B's? Nobody say nothing. You'll see Moors arguing on social media with other people they may not never meet over some paper. And I say, okay, then, well, it's some wisdom that we're supposed to be under. And if we're supposed to be shedding light and wisdom, why having brothers that say they study more science and this and that and the other study their Moore's Quran? And then let me tell you, and see gratitude, and I invite real words and intellect. Even if they did read it to fully understand, you have to have a guide to help you break it down. Okay, and I can rock with that. Now that's going off to another individual, and I'm glad you said that. Who was that? Sharif 9360. I'm glad you said that because you had another person out here that say they more this and that and the other, talk about they don't follow nothing, this and that and the other and all that. And I said, okay, so you all knowing. Because I had elders, I was taught. I also had some things that was innate, but I also was homeschooled and everything, but I was schooled. I followed a certain craft, you know, which we all should do if we want to get to a certain place. There's nothing wrong with following good men and building. That's a community. That's a tribe. So when I talk about these things, noble or empress, I think you might be noble. I'm sorry if you're not. Forgive me. But when Moors be promulgating things, and I said, like the economy of life, and things be changed, like the unto thee I grant, you know, which is the economy of a life. And so our Moorish Quran is constructed of that as well, and the Vedas and the Brahmins, you know, and other ancient manuscripts, you know. And so when I talk about things and when I talk about science, it's a plethora of wisdom. And then, excuse me, then when people be rewriting things and talk about the silent brotherhood of the East, you know, Jesus going through the adapt chamber, but that's the same thing it's the same thing in your Moorish Quran, per se. And so I know where things be coming from. And that's all I'll be telling people. It's like, no, 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 no. Let's just roll with what's right. Let's do this the right way. Let's give everything back to whoever it belonged to, and we can build on solid foundation. You know? And that's what I'm here for. To remove all of the bull crap, you know? You know? You know? So this is what I'm saying. It's like, no, it's a lot of things that's constructed, it's gathered and compiled and divinely prepared. Even when I talk about the Aquarian Gospels, when I show you Eliseus, Levi, and all that, they were nothing but transcribers. But a lot of times, we just don't have the eye to see. And sometimes people, how can I say it, know a true mapping guy and know something that's real, and still we refuse it. And we shouldn't. You know? We should support what's real. That's the discernment, right? But I'm gonna share something with y'all, then I'm gonna show y'all something else. And I wish I had the book with me, but I didn't. But I can quote a book before I play the film. It's a book called the Chosen Ones, and in the book you might see Wentworth Matthew and them, and a Moor Zionist temple of the Moor Zionist Jews, and they have the American flag and the so-called Israel flag, but you know, with the pentagram on it. But that was before Israel was created a country, state, whatever you want to call it. And you can see things that was already here being used in the states, and it's in the book called The Chosen Ones. When I show y'all, things was known amongst each other. We just digressed. So just leave that in your head. And in that book, keep this in your head. It's a brother named Ab Abdullah, and he was the teacher of Neville Goddard. And Neville Goddard, Ab Allah, the Ethiopian rabbi, didn't say that in his autobiography. Neville Goddard gave the Ethiopian rabbi the credit for being his teacher, and other European sages and mystics that people thought was heavy in those days. Besides Neville Goddard, you had people like Edgar Cayce and all those other Europeans that were sages and mystics, but we'll talk about that later, but keep that in your hippocampus, right? Now tell me, don't this sound like our science when you listen to it? I'll just give you a little introduction when it talks about this in the Unto Thee I Grant, just an introduction. Commune with thyself, O man, and wherefore thou were made. Contemplate thy powers, contemplate thy wants, and thy connections. So shalt thou discover the duties of life and be directed, right, in all thy ways, right? So I don't want to stay too far in that, but that's like a little preference of consideration. When you have consideration, these are principles, ayats or whatever. Proceed not to speak or to act before thou hast weighed thy words, right? And examine and the tendency of every step thou shalt take, so shall disgrace fly far from thee, and in thy house shall shame be a stranger. Repentance shall not visit thee, nor sorrow dwell upon the cheeks, and this or many lies to come, you know. This just introductions. We got chapter 2 on modesty, you know. Who art thou, O man, that presumes on thy own wisdom? Or why do thou vaunt thyself on thy own acquirements? The first step towards being wise is to know that thou art born mortally ignorant, and if thou wouldst not be esteemed foolish in the judgment of others, cast off the folly of being wise in thy own mortality. As a plain garment best adorn a beautiful woman, so a decent behavior is the greatest ornament of inner wisdom. The speech of a modest man gives luster to truth, and the difference of his words absolve his. He relieth not on his mortal wisdom. He weighed the counsel of a friend and received the benefit thereof. That's just. Then you got chapter 3, which is application. When I say I don't have barbershop talk, things that I do, I apply it. That's why I tell people we have to come together to do real things, to apply what we know how to do. You got to remember, we electric. I keep telling people this all day. What? Electric, electric, electric. We electric. So these are just ayats or pieces of wisdom or attributes, like chapter 3, application. You know, I don't want to stay too far in it. You know, we know what application is, right? Then we got chapter 3, emulation. If thy heart thirsts for honor, if thy ear hath pleasure, right? In the voice of praise, raise thy mortal self from the dust, whereof thou art made, and exalt thy aim to something that is praiseworthy. You know, doing things honorably, you know. I don't want to stay too far in it, but it's in the unto thee I grant, which the Moorish Quran has took wisdom from. Prudence, we all can rock with all these attributes, right? Hear the words of prudence. Give heed unto her counsels. You hear every time we talk about wisdom and everything, it goes to her. In your Bible, her is Sophia. Give heed unto her counsels, and store them in thy heart. Her maxims are universal, and all the virtues lean upon her. She is the guide and the mistress of the human life, right? Right? Or the Mayat, or we deal with the Sibyl's aspect. Put a bridle on thy tongue, set a guard before thy lips, lest the words of thy own mouth destroy thy peace. Let him that scoffeth at the lame take care he hath not himself. Whosoever speaketh of another's failings with pleasure shall hear of his own with bitterness of heart. And it goes on and on. You know, I don't want to stay too far in it. Then you have fortitude. You know, we love fortitude. Perils and misfortunes and want and pain and injury are more or less than certain lot of every man that come in the world. It behooved thee thereof, O child of comedy, early to fortify the wind with courage and patience, that thou mayest support with a becoming resolution the allot portion of human evil, right? As a carnal beareth labor, as a camel beareth labor, right? And heat, and hunger, and thirst, through deserts of sand, and fainteth not, right? It keep going. So the fortitude of man shall sustain him through all perils, right? A noble spirit, right, disdains the malice of fortune. His greatness of soul is not to be cast down, right? Right. Contentment, you know. It's more. I don't want to stay too far in that. Then you got temperance. I know we know what this is, but don't all that sound similar to the same? It's in our unto thee I grant. It's also in your Moorish Quran. Words have synonyms, right? telling y'all, man. Let me tell y'all how when I was at, I'm gonna play this film, but when I was at GCU, right? And I don't know if y'all ever heard of Tony Brown journals. I used to have film and play all these old films of old scholars and sages, and all it used to be packed with all other, the other students, because a lot of times when they think this, when I show other things, it blow their minds. When I say, yeah, I know about that. Yeah, I know about that. Not saying it like that, but when we show film and when I show people, we don't argue. Now, brothers and sisters that supposed to be scholars, you know. Let me see if I got this film for y'all. Oh, so before I play the film, right? Now I got the book. I couldn't travel with my books, but I converted everything to books. It took me a while. Some stuff I got already given to me from, a couple people I met on campus. But this is the book. My Mufti's got it. Ab Allah, Teacher Healer, a sequel to, and it was told of a certain potter by Walter C. Clayton, right? And so Walter C. Clayton right here. And this is an old book. I forget what year. What year was that? I forget when he wrote of it, but the individual he's giving credit to, just like I told y'all how Neville Goddard, give credit to him. I'm gonna play the film, but this is the book right here. And I played this in college, and I played this one day, man. I played the film right on the college campus, and this is real talk from no bullcrap. I think my Mufti is on my YouTube channel, and I just played the film and got a standing ovation for getting calls. They were like, they want you to play films every Wednesday and lecture this Wednesdays and blah blah blah, and it blew up to me, doing my own thing. It blew up to me tutoring people. It blew up to me providing books to college students for pennies of a dollar, and then they were able to get them from me by donating to my organization. So when they donate, I'm able. Just like you donate to something, they give you a pen or a T-shirt. You donate, I give you a book or an ebook. I'm able to do that, and it just changed everything up for myself. People that was into what I'm into, and so let me see if I got this. I'll play this film. Hold on. I can't even see what a dang old volume thing at. Oh, okay, here we go. I want to pause it so y'all can hear it. Can y'all see that? So in the book, The Chosen Ones, that's him right there. And in the book, it said turbans was wore in the misnomer black churches when misnomer black men wore, and it signified the mystical East. It signified the magical workers, and it signified the mystical East. And it signified the mystical East in the book, The Chosen Ones. With all due respect to everyone, when I say we got a long way to go to start loving each other and seeing the sign for real. So let me play this.
My old friend taught me that lesson vividly back in 1933. There was a deep depression in this land. Many of you are too young to remember it, but I am almost now 67. I went through the deep depression back in New York City. I was a dancer, and who would pay a dancer when they couldn't eat? All the theaters were closed. I don't think more than 3 theaters out of 50 were open in Times Square. So who wanted the dancer? I would have danced for anything, for a meal. And no one wanted to pay a dancer. So what would I do? Abdullah, I would love to go to Barbados. He said to me, you are in Barbados. I said, I am in Barbados? He said, yes, you are now in Barbados. I didn't quite understand what he was telling me. I learned it afterwards. He was telling me that if I want something, I must now, at that moment that I want it, assume that I have it. I want to go to Barbados. I am in Barbados. So this night when I sleep in Barbados. How? In my imagination. And how do I know I'm there? Think of New York City where physically I'm sleeping. And see it to my north, 2,000 miles. Northwest of where I am in Barbados. Well, the months went by and I didn't see any evidence. I say to him, you know, Ab, if I don't make the next boat out, well, no planes were flying, no commercial planes were flying in those days, I can't go to Barbados. He said to me, who said you are going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. You can't discuss how you're going to Barbados when you are already in Barbados. Then he walked straight to his room and slammed the door in my face, which was not an invitation to follow him. If you knew him, that's how he taught me. I am asleep as though I am in Barbados. And when I went to bed, though in New York City, I had assumed that I am actually in Barbados and see New York City not under me, but to the north of me, 2,000 miles. And I woke within 48 hours after that moment, and under my door was a letter.
So, I just want to show you a little piece of
From my
that.
brother Victor.
Let me go back, because I only want to show y'all little snippets, right? Because I want you to see that nothing is a secret.
You're invited to join Phoenix Energy's next webinar.
And those people that some people talk about were taught by individuals that look like me and you. And they give credit to it. How Abdullah taught Neville Goddard.
My old friend taught me that lesson vividly back in 1933. There was a deep depression in this land. Many of you are too young to remember.
Okay, I played that one. My fault.
I went through the
That's just a different one. Hold on. Here we go.
And it was told of a certain potter.
So, this Walter Clayton book, you know, about Ab Allah. All right?
By Walter C. Lanyon. Written in 1917. Abd Allah, the potter. And the sun streaming in through the eastern window awakened Abd Allah, the potter. He stretched his lithe, muscular body luxuriously, and rubbing his eyes, sat up. The boy Jethro lay wrapped in slumber, his harp close at hand. Jethro, Jethro, called Abdallah, 'tis morn. Get thee to the well, and fetch up the water for the morning meal. Jethro got sleepily into his picturesque costume of crimson, with its heavy blue silken sash. He was a happy type of youth, a true son of the Orient. his skin the color of copper, and his raven locks matted in curls to his well-shaped head. Some years before, Abdallah had found him begging in the streets of Jerusalem and had taken him home. Of his early life, little was known, save that at one time he lived on a boat which sailed the Nile. And it was upon this boat that an old sailor taught him to play the harp, pushing aside the heavy curtain of woolen stuff that covered the doorway of their abode. Abdallah stepped into the outer court and raised his eyes to the eastern heavens. It was a new day, and the sky was a mass of gold and crimson, shot with the palest mauve. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament showeth his handiwork, breathed Abdallah. There was a thrill.
So I just want y'all to get a little introduction of that. You know, I don't want to stay too far in that. You know, that's the economy of that's. He said, "What book is that?" That is, it was told. You know, a parable, economy of life. Let me show you. I have all these converted for brothers and sisters. And I said it when I was, I found out a lot when I was getting my dual master degree at GCU, how a lot of these universities have Gnostic libraries. You know, and then I started writing Oxford, Harvard, and I got connected to a lot of libraries. You know, and I tell people, I'm transparent. I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society. So I get a lot of things given to me, and I'm able to go there when I go out to California and research. So it's right here. I showed it earlier. And so and then it's a book called The Chosen Ones. And when you see people, when y'all see that picture of Wentworth Matthew and the Moorish Zionist Temple of the Jews, and they in front of the Moorish Zionist Temple, y'all ever seen that? Y'all seen that picture? And Wentworth Matthew have on his store, his Hebrew store, which the Jewish people wear as well. And you see them in front of the Moorish Zionist Temple with the American flag and the so-called Israel flag, right? And so I be telling people, they know. No disrespect to no one, the European people know. And in the book, The Chosen One, that's Allah. You know? And in the book, that's Allah. In the book, they talking about, when they be showing a picture, you look in the book, The Chosen One, you be like, wait a minute. That's who the brother they talk about in the paper. You said, I can concur on that. I'm an undergrad getting my bachelor's in project management. Universities, what you say, Noble, universities have the books and research. Yes, they do. I be telling people, and they be upset. I be like, dude, I don't know what people be talking about and be upset. I said, a lot of stuff is there. And then, let me tell you something. When I first moved to Arizona, brother, when I used to move to Arizona, my professors used to turn me to go to all the Goodwills on every other Saturday, and just go into the book area. And you're gonna find so many books and look them up. What they be on Amazon. Man, I've done that for years. I have libraries. I have books stacked up. I looked on Amazon. They cost thousands. Commentaries. The science is there. When I be talking about the war, when I be talking about, it's a book called Ferdinand and Isabella. It's a little red book. It's there. All the books be there. It's just you looking in it. It ain't no. You got to look in like different dispensations in first century and when people say in the Dark Ages or the medieval times or certain times or a history, certain dispensation. Just like religiously, the dumb verses and all that stuff is there. The papal bull and all that stuff is in the libraries. All of it's there. Been there forever. You know? I'm talking about peer-reviewed scholarly research. Just like when I be talking about Ibn Battuta. And they be like, who is Ibn Battuta? I said, man, the travel the world, like, stuff is there. Like, it's way much more. You know? And that's why I said no one's going to put a cap on my wisdom. I'm a traveler. And when I say a traveler, that's like I was playing my Noble Alonzo earlier, what of wisdom and understanding. Hey man, I can't say I'm a light. I can't say that and have someone over me to put the cap on me. And in my travels, I don't give off light and help those in their travels. You know, I just have to build it up the right way. Because you see all the fake stuff is crumbling. You see all the fake stuff is crumbling. That's why I'm consistent. You know? That's why I tell people, once I get the support, like all the other ones have, it's just a matter of time. I'm doing good, God. I'm doing good. But I told y'all, they learn from us. And people love Neville Goddard and Edgar Case and all those others. They speak on that, and I just showed y'all. And they got their science from us. Lives were saved by our wisdom. And then books was written. Right? Then books was written. And then here it is, your brother. I got all of it for y'all. All type of science for you. You should want that, you know? And these videos, people never even seen them videos. They were like, I ain't never seen that video, Neville Goddard and the Ethiopian rabbi, his teacher. I'm like, it's YouTube videos. And then the book by Walter C. Lanian, you know? He was the author, member of Empress, Royal Diadem, Demonstration, Treatment, etc., and some other books. And it was told of a certain potter. This is a sequel to it. You're right? Ab Allah, teacher, healer. And Neville Goddard says this is his teacher, who? The Ethiopian rabbi. That's in the book that I showed y'all. I might even have a picture saved in my phone. I don't feel like doing it. But it's in the book, The Chosen Ones. And then you start connecting all this stuff, you be like, yeah. I say, well, what's the purpose? You know? I tell people, man, like, come on, man, what's the purpose, man? It's bigger than that. And so I just wanted to play y'all those snippets. So I'm going back once again to the beginning question, brother, because then nobody answered. And I'm glad you said something, because I'm on TikTok too, right? And I asked all these brothers that say they more this and more that. I said, if you say you study more science, have you read your Moore's Quran? That's all I asked, brothers. And nobody said nothing. Everybody got more stuff on their name behind this and more this, more that. I just asked that question. Because if they say yes, it's a question I'm going to ask. And if they say no, then I'm going to say, why not? And I think that's a valid question, don't you? Don't you think that's a valid question? If a person promulgates something, they got more this and all that, and they say they studied more science, and they say they part of Moore Science Temple, and that's great, whatever Moore Science Temple it may be. And then I say, well, have you studied your Moore's Quran? And then the person says nothing. You hear me? And then it's straight up crickets. And that's all I ask people. And I say, okay, well, it'd be straight up crickets. Walter C. Layton, not Clayton. Leyland. That's all I ask, brothers and sisters. I'll be like, come on, man. It can't be that. Right? It can't be that, right? Right, Morris. That's why I said people really don't be into what they really say. Why? Because if you ask a brother that say they be professing all this stuff they got off a video, and I say, well, have you read your Moore's Quran? Because the divine comes first to check all that other stuff, to check the Lord itself. You should have went over that a few times. And as you go over that, you're going to learn so much more. And if you don't know, you should attach to something that knows. That's what we are. That's why we tribal people. To correct teachings and to be maps and guides. We done got messed up. But if you say that you study more science, and I ask you, have you read your Moore's Quran? And you don't say nothing to your brother, and I say, well, why not? Because I'm not promulgating nothing and on other people's pages, arguing with people, saying what it is and not, over some old paperwork that a person found on social media. I ask brothers that's operating a certain way, I say, have you read your Moore's Quran? Yes or no? That's all I ask Moors. and they say nothing. And I'd be like, man, I'd be like, come on, because I see y'all Moors that be arguing with other brothers. And so the first thing I ask brothers, do you have a little peace and a little wisdom in you? And have you read your Moorish Quran? I start asking things out of love. Because then if you say you have, then I don't see any peace in the way you demonstrating. So the first thing I ask brothers, have you read your Moorish Quran? Because if you did, then it's some things that we got to talk about. And if you didn't, then you should be honorable enough to say, no, I haven't read it. And then you should be ready to get into the prerequisites of what we're talking about. Hold on. Hello? Hello? Yeah, where you at? Where you getting ready to go? You crazy. Where you getting ready to go? Oh, you getting ready to go? Uh-huh. Okay, let me hit you right back, babe. All right, love you. Later. Because I think we really be falling out of line. Okay, I got a little bit more time. Yeah. I think we really be falling out of line, brothers. And everybody has so much to say. And I ask Moors that got all this, oh, I'm this, which is fine. But have you read your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? Have you read your holy book? That's all. And nobody will say nothing. All the Moors, all this, every time I be placed, and I say, well, have you read your Moorish Quran? Oh, man, I got to get to that. What you mean you got to get to that? What you mean you got to get to that? How you skip over that? How you skip over that? I mean, I'm asking brothers. How we skip over that, y'all? For all my bays. Ain't nobody saying yes. Hey, ain't nobody saying yes. Hey, ain't nobody saying yes. It really can't be no follow-up question. You know? Ain't nobody saying yes. You feel me? Like that's the whole thing. Nobody said yes. True Divine 7 said, what's the follow-up question if they say yes? No one said yes, True Divine. That's what I'm saying. No one said yes. No one. So really no follow-up question. Because it's really can't follow up on nothing because it wouldn't be nothing familiar. Everything that I'll be saying, it would be teaching. You know what I mean? Right? I mean, if we're going to be specific, if we're going to use things for teaching moments, if a person don't say, yeah, I read it and have some inclination of what I'm talking about, then I would be teaching them. And then here comes the doubt. Why? Because the person never even touched it. And when you hear words that's synonymous to the same thing, your mind ain't on a wavelength to catch frequencies. Why? Because you've never been through that dimension. And from all due respect, that's why I said I'm not here to disrespect. No, I ask all the brothers that's on my TikTok page and that follow me, that's Babe, that's Moors and all this, and I ask simple things because I see how brothers be coming with each other, and that's no peace and no wisdom. And then I say, okay, well, have you studied your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? And nobody says yes. So how can I go on with some things that should be familiar? If a person won't say yes, they've read it and they're definitely familiar with it. Because if not, there's nothing. Everything would be teaching, right? Just like you come into a dojo, that don't, and you don't even know how to stand, let alone stand. You don't even know how to tie your belt per se. If you're using belts to keep your uniform justly, you know. So I don't know. You know what I'm saying? That's why I said it's hard for me. It's hard for me to go on and say, okay, well, X, Y, Z, and this and that and the other. Why? Because there's no familiarity. There's nothing that it's nothing no one will know. Peace, babe. There's nothing no one will know. And that's what. So I do understand what ladies be saying about Moors or not Moors. A lot of those dudes that just be on the bull crap and not really trying to exude in life and do some real things in their community and use it for correction. Because brothers ain't even read their Moorish Quran. All these bays and all this on my on my TikTok page. With all due respect, I say, have y'all studied y'all Moorish Quran? No one will say it confidently. No one will say it confidently. Yeah, man. You know? With all due respect, no one would say it confidently like they argue like they've been back in the day when things all this, not and the other, arguing over semantics. But then when I ask things, because we have a divine creed and a nationality, and the divine comes first to check the lower. The divine checks the lower. You can know all you want, and if your divine is not right, you're not right. So I always ask brothers again, how just like man when I was in Arizona and I had my building, this is true story. My Empress on my YouTube page. When I had my building, I had a metaphysical building, and I used to hold classes Saturday and Sunday. And I used to have my sensei come, and we used to do martial arts. I used to rent it out, and then I met these Moors, and I used to let them come. Man, they used to act like they were some secret agents, some squirrels, all type of stuff. Cut the lights out, close the doors. All this old secret squirrel, a secret agent, what is it? Kung Fui, Hong Kong Fui type of stuff. And I'm talking about grown men, and all of them got in trouble. I'm laughing. Ask my Empress, I put them out, all of them on my building. Then they're talking a whole bunch of nothing. Nothing. No disrespect to no one. Them brothers ain't never studied the Moorish Quran. None. I'm talking about grown men. I'm talking about grown men. People can be mad all they want. You can ask my Empress. I'll be like, man, I'm telling you what I know. I'll be like, man, this is a joke. I brought them brothers in my building. One of the ladies said they ain't gonna pay nothing. They on some. All of them was on some. I don't know. And I told people, I'm not from Arizona. I'm from Flint, Michigan. I moved to Arizona. Me and my family got our own building. I let people come in. So I'm a divine minister, but I know who I am. So I had a metaphysical temple. I'm teaching everything. Then on certain days, I let the Moors come. They want to close the shades, all type of stuff. Oh, man, cut your phones off. I said, cut your phones off? I said, man, anything I say it with a bullhorn. Like, what are we doing? Man, open these doors. Ask anybody that know me. I said, y'all gotta go, man. They ain't even had a Moorish Quran. Then they talk about some plasma TVs was made with blood. Then they're talking a whole bunch of semantics. Grown men. Ask my pops. My pops came to one meeting. My pops said, I ain't coming to that no more. He's like, you're gonna have to find out your own, son. I invited them brothers in. I said, no, y'all got to go. And it ain't no disrespect to the science. When I tell people the science is right, but some of these people not right. Why? Because they in there just playing. It's like some Amos and Andy. That's what that remind me of. Some old Kingfish, some old Amos and Andy. Y'all know that show, The Elder. That's what that remind me of. And it ain't nothing happening. And that's what I be telling people. How you study Moorish science and we have a divine creed and we have a holy book and you don't even know the Moorish Quran, you ain't even touched it. Not once. Not once. Not once. Man, come on, man. Come on. And so when I speak on the unto thee a grant, and when I speak on the rose and the cross, and I be like, well, that's the esoteric and all this, and I tell people that they just took it and broke it down to different, no disrespect, European crafts, took it to London and make misnomer black lower level Masons try to be accepted by someone and all that when it's all ours. And I have my own charter and I have my own fraternal order, and I'm telling brothers I'm right here. And brothers still talk. I said, but you ain't studied your Quran that you say that you study more science. that a lot of things just took in pieces from it. When I talk about the rose and the cross, and then the lower level brotherhood of masonry, which some of the things are similar. You know, these is facts. How can brothers not know what I'm talking about, man? And be sure and confident when I say the Moorish Quran. You said, what's the rose and the cross? What do a lot of the Europeans take a part of our science, which is the esoteric science, which is the Gnostic science. You know, I tell people I was able to be introduced to a lot of things, especially the Philosophical Research Society. I'm transparent. A lot of stuff people be thinking belong to someone. When I show people deep autobiographies and books of ancient, you'll be like, well, wait a minute. You'll be like, huh? And I'll be like, well, yeah. And it ain't to disrespect no one, to act like nobody is ignorant or nothing, because nobody is ignorant. How you gonna know something and you haven't been introduced of it, and it's not your study? When I tell people this just happened to be, you know, my expertise, something that I was introduced to for years, and instead of me doing some lower stuff, being a part of somebody's group or in a Greek fraternity, or being a Scottish Rite Mason, because that's the only thing I would have been, you know, I had to have enough audacity of myself and enough honor to get my own charter and my fraternal order and say, screw all that. I was able to do that. I'm telling you, my embers will tell you, I was in academia, I was faced with all that. You know, man, you definitely would be right for this. No, nope. No, I won't. I won't be right for none of that. So the rose and the cross, which is a part of science, they can say anciently that it's esoteric science, but it still it's a part of our craft. When I talk about the tasawwuf, when I talk about the inner science, you know, the eso and the exo, or the analogy above and below in this context. But, you know, people get things caught up because a lot of stuff just be YouTube stuff and not real craft. So a person be missing the real meaning of it, you know, the real craftsmanship of the craft, no matter if it's physically or spiritually. And when I talk about the Rosicrucian aspect, that's the spiritual aspect of the tools. That's the spiritual aspect of everything we do in building ourselves up. And in more science, we talk about man-made in the image of the Creator, meaning we don't gravitate to one science where we miss the essence of the rest. And the closest place to find God is in the heart. That's what we talk about, the rose and the cross. But we definitely understand the one God concepts or the monotheism. We understand that because that's why we understand and I teach the triple rose. You see? You know, understanding the Fatimid, the Paraclete, the Jerusalem, you know, not disrespecting. And I was able to go to academia and lecture, and when people be like, well, this don't mean this, and I said, well, I didn't say it did. I didn't say it did. What I was able to do is when I was in that, how can I say, that school of thought, you know, with those individuals, I was able to bring things to light. Like everybody, I tell everybody, my dissertation when I was in my religious studies at Grand Canyon University, I showed that the misnomer black man is the father of civilization, proved by the Bible alone, with no prejudice or no biasness. Wasn't no disrespect. And so when I talk about the signs and the symbols and everything, when I quote things, I be given from their perspective, from their writers, like Albert Churchward, signs and symbols of the primordial man, like Godfrey Higgins and certain other things, and just certain specific things when they be saying, wait a minute, and it's no disrespect. And so when I talk about the rose and the cross, they just took it and put it in their own words as Rosicrucian. But when you look at these manuals that they gathered and compiled from ancient wisdom, it comes from a certain source. When they be saying like I broke down the so-called secret symbols of Masonry, which is nothing, and a lot of the Rosicrucian signs, it comes from a certain place. Like, I don't know if y'all seen, I'm gonna show y'all, I got one of my it's not a cross, I called it a compass because it's a compass as well, but it got some things on it. But I'll show it to y'all when I get back to AZ. And when I show people things and how things work, you can see it. And I say you just have to be able to sit down, just like when you look at a pyramid from this view. But then when you're flying over the top of it, you can see something that's really amazing. When I show you symbology from the eye, even when I talk about lower level twos, when I say the circle and the square both have 360 degrees, just different parameter. And the tools that you use on your elementary pencil, which you think is high science, is the compass, right? And the so-called square, right? But it's really the compass that was on your pencil and a ruler, right? Right? Right. So that's all I want to say, man. It just blows my mind that a lot of brothers never read their Moorish Quran. I don't even know the chapters of the Moorish Quran. And, promulgate things for confusion, because they're upset at things and it's coming all back around again. And I just tell people be very, very, cautious of those things. And if you confused or something, there's someone telling you they can do this or they can nationalize you and do all this. And if you're unsure, you got my information right now. You can hit me up. You can give me a call. I'm telling you, it's not going to do nothing for your life. It's going to bring you a world of trouble. But if these brothers, it's nothing no one can do. You will be giving your information to a person meaninglessly, because no one that has your best interest should be telling you things or having you do things that you don't fully understand. But with this science, once again, I knew a lot of brothers don't study their Moorish Quran because they never talk about it. And when I talk about basic things, I had a brother, he was like, man, that's deep. I said, but it's in your Moorish Quran. I said, I thought you go to the temple. He was like, man, I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. I ain't never even read the Moorish Quran. I said, what do you mean? And that's what I be saying. I said, I see why brothers talk about they be backsliding. Backslide to what? How old are you, sir, again? You X amount of age. You backsliding to what? What are you backsliding to again? I'm waiting. Like, it behooves me. And that's why I be telling Moors, I said, no, man, you ain't studying nothing. Why? Because look, no one will say, yeah, man, I studied the Moorish Quran, I have a clear understanding, or I study it and I don't have a clear understanding, and I definitely need to study, and it would be great to study with you and others, because when two or more gather, there's understanding. The Holy Spirit does the teaching. When two or more gather, there is the Holy Spirit. So if the Holy Spirit does the teaching, the Holy Spirit will be able to gather in a good context, per se, in a good atmosphere to do some good things. Right? And that's why I be asking brothers, what are we waiting for? I mean, what are we waiting for? Are we waiting for something to happen again and not be prepared? For things can be shut down and people can be begging again? Like, what are we waiting for? And then people will be going to begging the church and saying, oh, the church didn't do this, or such and such preacher didn't open their doors. You ain't even part of their church. So what should they open the doors for you for? I'm just saying what people be saying. Oh, such and such didn't do this and all this. And I get all that. But, I mean, we don't even have to have that conversation. All I ask people, nobles and empresses, brothers that say they study Moorish science, I asked a simple question. Have you read your Moorish Quran? And I was talking to the Els Abeys on my TikTok page, and no one said yes. Not one person. Not one person. Not one person. And if I missed it, forgive me. But if I did miss it, that tells me something. And I'm not here to disrespect no one. If we was doing a survey and people be like, okay, let's do a survey and let's see a person just say experience. And then everybody, say you have 100 people fill out the survey. No, let's just go smaller. Say you had 20 people fill out the survey, right? And all 20 people fill out the survey and nobody fill out the survey yes, or they got this much experience, or they here, or they would like to learn this, not, and the other, or they've read it and they're familiar with it, or X, Y, Z. You would get, I hope everybody would say, nope, nope, nope. Out of all 20, we'll be 0 for 20. We'll be 0 for 20. How ironic is that? It's just like, say if you wrote a holy book, am I saying this right? Queenie Soul Main. Say if you wrote a holy book and your people rock with you, right? And you wrote a manual and it's got martial arts in it and all that. And they say, okay, we're going to do these every day. I'm going to teach all this and read the manual. And your own brothers and sisters that say they rock with you, that your students and your pupils and those that's supposed to be helping you teach others, they don't even, what you mean? They be like, what manual? And we have a holy book. I'm just asking. Why it's not important? Can somebody answer that? Can somebody answer that? My L and Bays. That's on my TikTok page. Can somebody answer that for me, please? One of my L or Bay brothers from all different areas on here. I usually have a whole bunch of likes. I don't have none today. That's what I'm saying. It's like, come on. What we talking about, y'all? My L or Bays. Are y'all hear me? Calling out the L or Bays. That, you know, have you read your Moorish Quran? Yes or no? It'd be nothing. It'd be crickets. Why not? And people be arguing over things, and you'll be able to set someone up so good in the discourse, because you would talk about something they never even read it, and then you'll ask them, "Are you this?" They'll say, "Yeah," and then you'll say, "Well, how are you this?" And this is in your holy book. They'll be like, "Well, what do you mean?" You said, "I study the Quran," and thank you, because I ain't getting nothing. I've been rambling. You said, "I study the Quran, and unto thee I grant." You can ask me some questions. True Divine 7. So, True Divine 7. How you say you study the Quran? Well, probably both, which is good. But if people study their Moorish Quran, if people study the Aquarian Gospels when they talk about the 18 missing years of Jesus Christ, when you look at the Brahmin text and the Vedas, do you see things that's similar, but just different wording? Because words have synonyms. Do we see this? Because Noble Ali, in his writings, is gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared. So it had to be gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared from a specific source, right? Right or wrong? We just clearing some stuff up real fast. True Divine 7 said, right? Absolutely. So if that's the case, I always ask people, let's go back to the beginning. Those that say they Moors and they read their Moorish Quran, what are you arguing? Who and what you arguing with? Because what do your Moorish Quran say in an introduction? What do it say? Watch this. What do they ain't even gonna say it. What do they Moorish Quran say in the intro when you open the Moorish Quran up? What do it say? Watch this. This should be simple. Why? Because this is stuff that people profess and be out here confusing people. I'll be like, dude, like, what are you talking about? I'll be like, what are you more saying? Yeah, you doing all that dressing up, which is cool. But what you coming out your mouth like, dude, where you getting this stuff from? So what it says, know thyself and Allah. Okay, then turn the page. What do it say? Yeah, you right. Know thyself and the Father Allah. Yep. But it say some other stuff on there, right? Come on. I'm looking for something specific. I'm looking for something specific because you right there. You're right there, Noble. Who said that? Oh, this fun. You're right there, True Divine 7. Yeah, it said know thyself and Allah. But what else do it say? Because it say something before you get in the first chapter, right? Right? What do it say? And see if anybody can deny that. The what? The who? True Divine 7 said. I laugh. I just like to laugh because I be having fun with it. Man, this tea tastes good in the mug. What you say again? Say it again. Say it again, Divine. For all the more than the back seat. Put it in big caps when they are talking about the caps. You say the genealogy of who? You say Jesus. Is that what you say? And what else? And the what? What? The genealogy of who? That's what I be saying. I be like, dude, I say, how are you saying things and you have a Morris Quran, and then the first thing come out of these individuals' mouths is total dissent and total blasphemy because it's a lack of understanding. And then the first thing I go back, I say, well, you study more science? Yeah, I said, this is the holy book? Yes. The divine come first? Yes. Okay, well, let's see what your holy book say. Life and works of Jesus in India and Europe and Africa in the land of Egypt. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yep. That's in the Morris Quran. I mean, last time I checked. Let me read that again. Life and works of Jesus in India, Europe, and Africa in the land of Egypt. Is it any more? Watch, because I just want, since brother doing this, he said ask you some questions. And these not even gonna be hard questions, True Divine 7. I give you gratitude. You gotta give me your email, I'm gonna send you something for rocking with this, because this is very simple. Is it any more? Do it say something about the so-called missing years? That's all the first page. What the next page say? And gratitude, watch this. Watch how we ride together. Watch how we make a dope album. Watch. When I say dope album, I'm using it as an analogy because this is gonna flow together. He gonna pick everything up. He gonna be like boom, 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 boom. I'll be like, see? It's gonna be nothing nobody can deny. Because I know they ain't read their holy book. And then there's manuals to go to your holy book. Like teacher's manuals. You know that? So watch this. Let's see if it's something else. Do it say something about the 18 missing years? Or something? I was about to get off, but since you started riding, I said, forget it, man. The music's still on. What do it say? Do anywhere on there say the 18 missing years? Or something like that? Anywhere? Right? Yes or no? I just want to see. Right on my own, Noble. We building. Because then, what'd you say? You right? He said, you right. What'd it say? What'd it say? He said, you right. I just want to see what it say. Because the Moors, the brothers that say they more shy, they should be saying, I'm right. You know? Right? Right? You said, the genealogy of Jesus with the 18 years of the events, lives, works, and teachings of India, Europe, and Africa. Uh-huh. Let's read that again. Thank you, Noble, for putting that out there. The genealogy of Jesus with 18 years of the events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. Oh, okay. And where is that at? Where is that at? In what? Your Morris Quran, right? 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 Brother just said it. The genealogy of Jesus with 18 years of the events, life, works, and teachings in India, Europe, and Africa. These events occurred before he was 30 years of age. These secret lessons, yep, these secret lessons are for all of those who love Jesus, for all of those who love Jesus and desire to know about his life, works, and teachings, right? Dear readers, do not falsely use these lessons. They are for the good, peace, and happiness for all of those who love Jesus. That's what it say to me. That's what I'm reading. Dear mothers, teach these lessons to your little ones, that they may learn to love instead of hate. Dear fathers, by these lessons, you can set your house in order, and your children will learn to love instead of hate. The lessons of this pamphlet are not for sale, but are for the sake of humanity. And I am a prophet, and the servant is worthy of his hire. You see, and that's a double conversation, because they ask for a donation for it, of course, but it's not for sale per se. When you're part of something, you can do these things for donation. It's understanding language. But anyway, you can receive this pamphlet at expense, right? The reason these lessons have not been known is because the Muslims of India, Egypt, Palestine had these so-called secrets and kept them back from the outside world. And when the time appointed by Allah, they loosened the keys, right? And freed the secrets. And for the first time in ages, these secrets have been delivered in the hands of the Muslims of America. All authority and rights published of this pamphlet of 1972, right? And the industrial acts of the Muslims of the Northwest and Southwest Africa. These are the Moabites, Hamites, Canaanites, who are driven out of the land of Canaan by Joshua and received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in that portion of Egypt. In later years, they formed themselves kingdoms. These kingdoms are called today so-called Morocco, Algiers, Tunis, Tripoli, etc. And so I always be asking more. I said, man, what are y'all talking about? Those that love Jesus. So when people be saying these things and when people be misunderstanding religion, I say, okay, well, if a certain person God and it was the people already occupying a certain area, the Canaanites, and they had a father, and you are who your father is, no matter what. Who were these people, and what God told them to come over there and so-called take over everything and make y'all convert? What were they? What were these people already under? Like it's just a lot, you know. That when I tell my brothers and sisters, I hope we looking at things with a good eye, and brothers and sisters clearly haven't studied their Moorish Quran, and then I say, well, what chapter 1 talk about? They be like, well, what you mean? I said, no. No. If we're going to do that, since we promulgate something, and we'll say something is and something is not, why won't a person just say what it is, right? Why won't you just say, okay, well, this is what this breaks down, because it's there, all right? Chapter 1, what? The fall of man, right? Education of Mary and Elizabeth and Zoan in Egypt, right? What's that? Chapter 2? Elihu's lessons, the unity of life, right? Death and burial of Elizabeth, Mattheo's lessons, the ministry of death, right? Come on, man. After the feast, the homeward journey, the missing Jesus, the search for him. His parents find him in the temple. He goes with them to Nazareth, symbolic meaning of carpenter tools, right? Right? Life and works of Jesus in India among the Muslims, right? The friendship of Jesus and Lammas. Jesus explains to Lammas the meaning of truth, right? I'm just asking. Jesus reveals to the people of their sinful ways. Jesus attends a feast in Bihar, and here he taught humanity. He taught human equality. Right? Jesus spake on the unity of Allah and man to the Hindus. Jesus and Bharata together, they read the sacred books, right? The sacred books, right? Among the Buddhist priests was one who saw a lofty wisdom in the words that Jesus spoke. It was Bharata Arabo. Together, Jesus and Bharata read the Jewish Psalms and prophets, read the Vedas, the Avistas, and the wisdom of Gautama, right? And it was what you said, so much wisdom. Exactly. That's why I be telling people, I be like, man, that's cap. They ain't studying nothing. It said together Jesus and Barata read the Jewish Psalms. Do you know what they are? I know my Muslim brother be acting like they don't know what I'm talking about, but I do. I told y'all the Morse Quran is simple. And the prophets, they read the Vedas, the Avistas, and the wisdom of Gautama. Gautama who? The Gautama Buddha. I mean, I got all the wisdom for y'all. I have a library. I'm telling y'all, man, your brother did this. I've been in the battlefield. I have everything for the community. And they had read and talked about the possibilities of man, Barada said. Man is the marvel of the universe. He is part of everything, for he has been a living thing on every plane of life. I'm not going to continue in that. Let's continue to go. Watch this. What else in the Morris Quran? Jesus teaches the common people at a spring, tells them how to obtain eternal happiness. That's more Jesus, right? Let's see more Jesus. Life and works of Jesus in Egypt among the Gentiles. Really? Let's see more. John the Harbinger returns to Hebron, live as a hermit in the wilds, visit Jerusalem, and speaks to the people. Let's see more Jesus. Jesus goes to the wilderness for self-examination, where he remained 40 days in subjection to 3 temptations. He overcomes, returns to the camps of John, and begins teaching, right? Pilate's final effort to release Jesus fails. He washes his hands in feigned innocence, delivers Jesus to the Jews for execution. The Jewish soldiers drive him to Calvary, right? What he say? Yeah, the missing 18 years. Thank you. I be waiting. That's why I be saying, I be like, Moors out here confusing things and talking about they study Moorish science. Then I say, okay, well, what your Moorish Quran say? What you mean? Because you spreading hate. Jesus appears, fully materialized, before Apollo and the Silent Brotherhood in Greece, appears to Claudia and Juliet on the Tiber near Rome, appears to the priests in the Egyptian temple at Heliophilus. Right? Right. Right. I know. The resurrection of Jesus, Pilate places the Roman seal upon the stone door of the tomb. At midnight, a company of silent brothers march about the tomb. The soldiers are armed. Jesus preaches to the spirits in prison. Early Sunday morning, he rises from the tomb. The soldiers are bribed by the priests to say that the disciples have stolen the body, right? Right? What else we got? Oh, Jesus appears fully materialized to the Eastern sages in the place of Prince Ravana in India, to the Magian priests in Persia. The 3 so-called wise men speak in praise of the personality of the Nazarene, right? You know in the Bible when it said this pestilent brother is the ringleader of the Nazarene? Not the Nazarite, the one that following St. Nick. It's a difference, right? Not the Nicolaitans, right? Following St. Nick. You know. Jeremiah chapter 10, it tell you what not to do. Right? Right? The events occurred before he was 30 years of age. That's right, according to our Moorish Quran. And the events after he had risen from death. He appeared back to India, Europe, and Africa in the land of Egypt. Y'all know it. Holy instructions and warnings for all young men, right? Right? Duty of a husband, right? Holy instructions for the child, the obedience of children towards the father. A holy covenant of the Asiatic nation, right? Holy instructions of unity, the holy unity of the rich and the poor. I'm just saying, holy instructions from the prophet, master and servant per se, magistrate and subject. See your Moorish Quran? Holy instructions from the prophet, the social duties. Holy instruction from the prophet, justice. Holy instruction from the prophet, charity. Yeah, thank you. Economy of life, thank you. Same thing I was just telling people, like the unto the 8 grand, I'd be like, thank you. Thank you, brother. That's why I be telling people we lost. I said, how can you not see what and it's synchronizing? It's the same thing. When I say we missing it. You know? Absolutely. Absolutely. Holy instruction from the prophet, sincerity. He just did it. He just said it. Brother just said it. Economy of life. I was waiting for somebody to catch on it. I was just doing the same, what? Unto the I grant. I was just breaking it down. So when people don't have an eye to hear, some of us do. That's why I said it's going to take us like this to come together and do things. Why? Because that's the vibration when we catch things like that. That's a love vibration. Those are pheromones on a wavelength. I'm telling you. And just how this brother just caught that right there, and I said, it's going to be people that say they profess to do this, and if you really study, and if you into what you into, it's going to click. All I do is put things together, then I can show you we have the right to do way more. But see, people don't even see this and see the power of what the prophet did, and we're trying to redo things. We arguing, and that's what I say. I know brothers ain't studied nothing. I know clearly why. And when I go back to Arizona, when I say I have more in common with my other man on a level of this type of level, because they're what? They're sons of Muslims. I've been telling people, I said, dude, you can't deny what I'm saying. I said, white people ain't sharing what I'm saying. I know you haven't read your Moore's Quran. Who? All of you. All of you that profess something, if they can come just like brother did, just like that, and put that together real fast, say, well, absolutely. Because there's so much wisdom and stuff. If somebody said they gather, compiled, and divinely prepared, and if somebody said they are map and guide, I said I can break things down to a small molecule with my tools and show you where the wisdom come from and use it in real life as holistic wisdom. All we have to do is come together under a real brotherhood, because this is what it's about. All the others, that's why I was showing y'all Neville Goddard, and he was learned by the Ethiopian rabbi, and I'm showing brothers this. I'm like, what are we waiting for? This stuff is real. We talk about magic. I'm like, no, this type of magic that work. And just like the brother just said, I'm like, yes. I said, y'all ain't seeing this? Holy instruction from the prophet religion. He is gathered and compiled. From where? I just broke it down. And then in the Moore's Quran, one of the chapters just broke down some of the books that Jesus and Barada were studying, right? Right? Which I have. Holy instruction from the prophet. Know thyself. All this stuff come from the unto thee I grant, or the economy of life. You know, if given credit to it. The breath of heaven, right? The soul of man, right? Pinnacle of wisdom, right? Reading the Moore's Quran raises your vibration, and when reading it in a group, it raises the vibration more. This what I've been trying to tell the brothers they don't get. This is part of our maps. They clearly not getting the vibration. They clearly not getting it. And you 100% right. We have to. It's gonna happen. This is what I'm telling people. I said I'm right here. That's why this vibration is picking up. I said, man, I don't want to just be doing this on the outside, and we have the ability to do this in the inside, where people like myself don't have to say, well, we doing it because of this. Because I don't have to do it because of that. I don't want to. We can do it because of this, and we can do it. I'm telling you, because it's right here in our face, and we're still not seeing the power. Instability of man. Inconstancy. Remember in our benediction, Moso, I think my noble Moso was on here. We talk about, and even though a portion of us is inconstancy, right? 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 There's still part of our nature that's divine, right? So I know brothers don't be doing the holy instruction from the prophet like weakness. Like it's manual when you go into those dark places, and when you're in a good place, what do you go to? Insufficiency of knowledge, the holy instructions from the prophet, the insufficiency of knowledge, right? The holy instructions from the prophet, misery. What are we talking about? The divine origin of the Asiatic nation, the beginning of Christianity, Egypt, the capital empire of the dominion of Africa, the end of time and the fulfillment of the prophecies. And I even did a lecture showing people that Africa wasn't named after a European. When somebody showed me that, I think he said it was Hidden Colors, and the brother was on there talking about Africa was named after a European, and I illuminated that, and he was like, Sheik, why do people do this? I said, ask them. Ask them. They made millions off that. And I said, that's easily illuminated, you know? But that's what we do. I call it Eurocentric and NEGRO-centric propaganda, because that's clearly what it is, you know? So those are just little simple things I wanted to show people when I know a lot of brothers that profess things, and it's okay because I love everyone, you know. But I know brothers haven't studied their Morris Quran, because if they did, it these things should resonate, because these things that I'm talking about is vibrations. So all that basic, when people be hitting me up, what should I read? Thinking you're gonna read something, all of a sudden become some adapt, and you don't even like school, but you think all of a sudden because you watch some videos, you're gonna like all of a sudden this, and you don't even want to read the basics. You don't even want to touch the Morris Quran. You don't even want to touch the Morris Quran. That's why I'd be laughing. I'd be like, dude, all you got to do is be willing to be like, man, I do want to be a student. I do want to be a part. It's no, why wouldn't we? We supposed to be tribal brothers. That's how we learn. If we're going to diss academia, and then, okay, and then we ain't going to be willing to learn by our elders, then what? Look at the oxymoron, this and that. You ain't even willing to be learned by your elders, and you diss academia. So you're going to diss your elder that's been in it. You know? Like, the irony of that. We're not going to even support it. Just a tittle. You know? We're not going to get no wisdom. You know? We're not going to build our library none. And I say why. I ask people why. Especially if you're down with the science, it's little basic things I can give you to clear things up. I told you nothing is secret is sacred with me. If you are more like estate booklets that people wrote, I told y'all when you ask me questions, I answer them. They couldn't mess up what the Prophet established. Now it's people that do things dang right, and when you look them up, you be like, oh, they went to jail for this, for filing fake taxes. Yes, but what the Prophet did, you can't deny it. And you can't deny this right here. How Noah Drali set the temple up. You know? And there's certain things that's public information. And it's letters from the CCRD. And so it's nothing else to really to explain. For me, there's nothing else to really explain to me. You know? All I'll be telling brothers, man, I think we need to get back and let everybody have those negative vibrations, because the only way we do things and have things is if we come together and when we trust a little bit and we put a little cup, if we want an infrastructure, which we can, that can be taxes in for the federal government, we have to be willing to put cipher a couple of dollars to something, get a tax receipt, and then be transparent. Just like I was showing y'all yesterday, all the buildings for sale. And if people know how to fix houses, we can have a conglomerate and have a religious community. But besides all that, man, I give y'all honor and love. But you can't profess something that you haven't even studied the science and the teachings. You know? And I give respect to all people. That's why when I be listening to men and watching men, and they be adults in this movement, I said, dude, wherever you getting that from, I know you ain't studied your Morris Quran. Then people be saying, and a lot of dudes out here get out of prison, man, the Morris Quran saved me. Well, if the Morris Quran saved you and you get out of jail with them shenanigans, you know, like what you done lost your marbles. You done got out and done got to them shenanigans. Done listen to somebody with those shenanigans. You know what I'm talking about? My brothers and my sisters. So once again, y'all, I'll be clearly being made honest, brother, babe. These brothers don't be reading their Morris Quran. Because if they did, a lot of things would be familiar, and then you would want it. And if you don't even have the unto thee I grant all that stuff, I have these things for y'all. I have everything for brothers and sisters that may want these things from me. Why? Because I have them. I've been having them for years. I've been teaching this for years. You can go on my YouTube, man. I mean, for years. That's why I say it's nothing secret with me. I got all these books and everything, you know, in my storage. You know, they go unto thee I grant. Used to be the economy of life. They got another book called the Moorish Akashic Records, and then in the Moorish Quran, and in those writings, it's saying it's like the same thing, word for word. Like chapter, I think 20 to like maybe 24, if I'm not mistaken. But you know, but I just broke the same thing down, so I don't know, man. It ain't nothing else I can really say to my brothers and sisters. Oh, damn. Anybody got anything they want to say? Hold on, let me grab something. Anybody want to add? Anybody want to add anything before we get out of here? Anything? But I really, man, like I said, I'm gonna always ask y'all, man, to support your brother. I got it compiled. Like, I don't know if you into, science, but I also have a whole ebook library. But I gathered and compiled a plethora of books, and all my books are available ebook, or I can print them and bind them and ship them to you, for a certain price. All you got to do is hit me up. But I also have them as ebooks, and you can get them all out of the bundle for a good price if you're interested. But this 14 famous Asiatic scientists in history, Euro and Negrocentric propaganda, interpretation of the divine creed of Moorish Islam, Moorish American Light of Ali, the Moorish Adapt Study Guide, and the House of Ali Mysticism, Esoteric Science of the Moorish Fez. Oh yeah, it's gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared by myself and my empress. Put it together for us to sell it and and distribute it for donations by my empress, Lashan Mayat Bey. We also put something together like healthy eating and living. Your body is your temple. Your body is your temple. And just in this book, I just got like some workout stuff in here. So you can look at, you can take with you, or you can download it all on your tablet. And it's just some little information of symptoms of parasites and how to remove mucoid plaque, and about fasting and other certain things, and what kosher is, and fruits and vegetables, and how to mix things, and different things that I do, and basic workouts that you can do just to keep yourself in a proper manifestation if you into that. Sufism and a triple rose of the Adapt Chamber, right? Gather, compiled, and divinely prepared by myself, Noble Kari Goodman Bey. Prepared for publication by my empress, LaShawn Goodman Bey. You know what I'm saying? Also do a little book, Vegan. It's like a vegan treats, where we put together some snacks and stuff, some treats, because I like to cook. And then my empress always putting things together. So she was like, why don't you just put some of her dishes in here? So I said, well, why not? And so I did these things. She's very creative. So I give her all the credit and inspiration. And this is something that my empress was inspired to do. So I said, let's just put it together. I said, everything in our brain, we can put it together. And no matter how many or how a lot people that deal with it, they have something that we produce and they can have, So I give honors to that. Also, a book about what we are and how we promulgate things is The Divine Pattern of the Mosaic Tabernacle. And so that's one. Oh, and I also have a coloring book, but I don't have that with me. And that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9 books. That's 9 books. You can get all those. If a person want to give a $40 donation, you can get all 9 books, and that'd be dope. That'd be dope if everybody got them. But then I got some other books, y'all, and I told y'all that I can show y'all on Amazon that come out to about 3 bands. Some of them might have went down now, and y'all can get those right now today as well. I'm telling y'all, like y'all be missing it, because in a minute I'm gonna be done doing this. I'm gonna be back on campus doing it. And I'm going to be able to go live. I was just checking would I be able to go live. They was like, well, yeah, if you're going to X, Y, and Z and blah, blah, blah. I said, it's dope. I said, I'm only going to do it twice. And then I'm going to shut it down. But I just want to show the people the big difference. How they be like it'd be an auction. Oh, what we going to get this? They be like, no, he going to get it. I'll be like, well, no. I said, everybody can get it for the same price. Or y'all just come in groups. Because I don't want to be there all day. So it might be like 50 students. or 35 minimum, I'll just put them all in groups. I just put them in 7 groups if it's 35. Put them all in groups and say, okay, well, y'all can do it like this for everybody don't be having to pay the same price. They'd be like, man, you dope. And I'd be like, well, yeah, if y'all willing to support, let's make it easy. And so I have some books that I told you that I print because my daddy, he a philosopher as well. And he study. And all my muftis, I give them all these books. And well, the weather is getting ready to change in Arizona, so I'm gonna get back. I'm gonna show y'all something that I'm starting to do at the book fairs, or not the book fairs, but the what they call them, the farmers markets, because they all over in Arizona. And I'm gonna get back to selling books and my Empress do her thing in our spare time. You know, I'm really gonna get back into that. You know, and a lot of the things that I have, because in Arizona, you will not believe it's a big culture. And they don't have to be this color. I'm talking about culture. They love it. It's indigenous. You know, it's native. But anyway, like I said, y'all, I have about 5 books that's worth $3,000. Right now, sitting upstairs that I print and buy. Like all 5 books come to about $3,000. You know? And I always tell people, why you think they cost that much? Because they know the average person is not going to have it. And so, like, if people been following me for years, you can look me up on YouTube. I used to do this years when I was, especially on campus a lot before COVID. This is what I used to do all the time. And when I stayed in Tucson, Arizona, because I used to run my suit store all day. I'm talking about all day. Then I used to tutor after class, and I used to train people. And I used to work with the autistic children. But the books, everybody was like, man, how do you have all this? And I'm like, I have my own lane. So I was able to go where people was into that. And so when I be seeing Moors, when I be seeing them, I be like, dude, y'all have no idea. I said, you have no idea what you talk about. I said, why? I said, because, and I'm not saying books everything. I study too much not to believe everything. But when you when you really, really, really do what you do, when you really do what you do, the light comes on the aha moment. And then if you write, you attach to rightness. That's just what it is, especially if you say you're more. Especially if you say you follow science, what's wrong with that? They want us not to latch on like that. They want us to be separate. I say, what, you a rogue Moor? I told Moors the other day, I don't care if you're a Moor. If you rock with me and been rocking with me and you won't purchase a fez for me, why not? I don't care if you got a fez, you should purchase one for me. I'm gonna give you a turban, I'm gonna show you how to tie the turban. That's just like if it was me. I'm doing business with my brother. Why? Because I should. And I'm gonna celebrate my brother. I'm gonna try to bring my brother around. I'm gonna hit my brother up. Be like, hey man, let's try to put something together. Let me try to get you here. Why? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing. What are we talking about? I got something to offer to the community. Like, what are we doing? I mean, like clearly, what are we doing? I'm supposed to be everybody on here that's based. I'm like, man, yep, I ordered your fez. It's shipping out. Everybody's supposed to be getting their fez. Everybody's supposed to be getting their turbans. Everybody's supposed to order the books like, man, thanks, Sheik. Everybody's supposed to at least got a tunic for me. I sell tunics, everything on my Instagram pages. Everybody know I do this. At least do some business. Like, it's like I got everything for the community. Especially if you into studying and reading, and I understand we going somewhere, but to understand where you're going, you got to know a little bit of what was behind you, for you can speak eloquently, for you can speak with some understanding, for you can be willing to pass some over to your children, or correct some things that you may thought, or even correct the ego. Especially if you say you study more science, and then see this, and we dissing everything, and then when the brother on here gonna say, well, yeah, that's where I see what you're saying, she like gratitude. True Divine 7. And True Divine 7 said reading the Moore's Quran raises your vibration when reading a group. You know? When reading groups, right? It raises the vibration more. And people don't understand that's what they use all these things for. It's just written in other things. And why y'all think Peter Moon and Spondu Mysteries and Sacred Drift, Peter Lambert Wilson wrote about, and they on the cover of their books, Peter Lambert Wilson, Sacred Drift, Spondu Mysteries, and Noble Drew Ali on the cover with all those U.S. generals. You don't know why? You don't know why? Because, see, people are not into the know. I quoted a lot of this stuff, and I have all the books. That all the books that I talk about, I have them for us. And if we have them, a lot of things we say will change. But people ain't even willing to do business with me. People ain't willing to broaden your intellectual. Or when we talk about Traveler, as I share with my noble Alonzo, white people won't even do business with me. I have a full library. I should be selling out every day. I have everything for us. No disrespect. And that's why people be like, well, the other man, this, and that, and the other. The other man do know. Because everything when I was on college campus, it was different. That's why I be telling y'all. I'm like, no, it's different. I said, why we ain't, if I was doing something illegal, people be rocking with me. Why? Because if I was on here with that sovereign citizen stuff, if I was on here telling you this, I can sell you this, and your social security number is attached to this, and you can live some fake life, and I'm renting a Bentley, and I'm selling you all this fictitious stuff, and I say I can fix your credit or fix you this magical house, I'll be paid. But here it is, I have something real, and people say they in the studying and reading and researches and wearing their turbans and fezzes, and people don't even hit me up, and I got the same people on here each week, and I can't get no business done with us. Brothers can't even get the wisdom, and then I can go to the other houses, and this is just what I'm saying, and be like Cheers. You know, you want to go where people know your name, and I don't be saying it disrespectfully. When people be like, well, Arizona is a red state. Yeah, I get that, but not for me. I'm from Flint, Michigan. And I live all the way out in Arizona. I don't get disrespected. I get love. Why? Because I exude love. I've been all over. I lived in Tucson, Arizona. Wearing my full regalia, going everywhere. Me and my wife hanging out, doing everything. One day the police messed with me. One day, and it was fun. Well, not in no disrespectful way. Because when I walk, I talk loud. I got that gullah. And somebody called the police, whatever. But the lady came. It wasn't nothing. But to make a long story short, man, I'm honest and I'm real, and I've been doing this for a long time. If y'all follow me on YouTube, you know I've been honest. And I'm telling people, I have the research for us. If you like to travel with your books and all that, because I don't travel with books. These are just at my parents' ranch, right? Because like I said, my dad studied. And so a lot of the expensive books I'm talking about, I printed and binded them for my dad over the years, and he read them, you know? So everything that I be talking about, all the books, I'll print them and bind them, on the machine, or I have Office Max and Staples do it if I don't have time, you know? And so this is what I tell people, and I only bind expensive and rare books, unless this is another thing people do. If the book ain't expensive, but people still want to support, they don't care. And I'm like, okay, well, thanks for the donation and XYZ, and I'll print and bind it on their request. But I usually only, print things that's, expensive, or, if I'm doing bundles, because it costs to ship, but I know how to ship things for a good price. But I'm just explaining things because I'm transparent. But I really would want brothers to rock with me. I really would want people to at least buy a fez or a turban at least. I would hope, and I would at least hope people want to learn the science and do business. And if you do have a fez, and if you don't know about the fez, I hope MorrisHaberdasher.com. Go in there and buy a fez. Or you can hit me up, send me an email, and be like, Sheik, I want to get a fez. You can send me the money through one of my whatever you call it, Venmo, PayPal, or Zelle, and then I order it for you. Give me your information, and I'll ship it to you straight from me. And you don't have to go on our website. But it'd be dope if you do order on there. It'd be dope if brothers went on there and ordered, and I give you all a free fez. It'd be dope if a brother went on there and order something, or at least just check it out and hit me up and say, email, be like, man, you got some dope stuff on there. Because I know we do. But we also got mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where you can download books to your tablet for a price. But y'all know me. And brothers can be hitting me up, sending me emails and say, Sheik, man, can you do a book preview, or can you go over 10 books that you have for sale, or books that you recommend and XYZ to go along with your studies? I can do that all the time. That's how we build things. And I've been doing it for so long, Well, I won't say so long. I've done it before. And I've done it on college campuses. And that's why I tell brothers, like, why a lot of books that I have, when I show you on Amazon, they cost a lot of money, because it's a reason why. And who's putting those books on Amazon for that type of money, So, once again, man, I hope people do business with me. But if anybody want any of the books I gathered and compiled. I'll let you get all 9 of my books if you want for a $40 donation. If you want, why? Because I want you to have them. Because I want you to have them. That's why I want you to have them all. You know, and I'm just being honest. A lot of the stuff that I was able to speak on the college campus, they have these. This stuff was a part of my dissertation. When a lot of stuff that I gathered and compiled. You know, from here and from that to be like, oh, to make it plain. So when people don't be trying to magically say this and that, be like, well, no, wait a minute, let's look at this. I've gathered and compiled a lot of wisdom and a lot of study over the course of being able to have access to things, to put things in little pamphlets, you know, to put things in small little pamphlets, you know, that don't even take a long time to read, you know, so you can read them over and over, and you can take notes, and then you can cross-reference them with other readings, just like Brother did when I tell people, I know you can study. Why? When I show things, you're looking for the bad, and I say I gathered and compiled just like the prophet, so things should bring things back to your remembrance and show you that this navigation is the right way you're going, you know? And so then that should cause you to come back and want to build with your brother. I'm telling you. Like, okay, I got a couple more minutes. Like Sufism and the triple rule of the adapt chamber, right? When I tell brothers, I have all the wisdom for y'all, but we can build something, you know? When I talk about the Fatimid, the Jerusalem, the Paraclete, right? When I talk about the essence of the sacred path of Sufism, right? And the mystics of Islam, right? I'm not gonna stay too far on it, but I want brothers to get this and be able to have this, to see what they say about this science, so you can get a clear idea. And there's a lot, and there's some good wisdom here that I've gathered and compiled. So when people can understand about my charter and what we believe, this little small pamphlet right here, the divine pattern of the Mosaic Tabernacle and the Moorish Salat, all right? How we believe, you know, and our aims, you know. And then we break down a little bit of what etymology is, and then I break down the Moorish American Salat, you know. When I tell people, I said, I understand your religious thing and all that, but I'm not Orthodox, and I always teach people these things, like, no. I get what people be saying, you know, because members and students of the Burning Bush Tabernacle Science Temple and School, we give all praise to Allah, or that manifestation of God, at least a minimum of 3 times a day, which is cool. And the student may give praise or go to Allah in prayer anytime the student feel the need. But what we teach all students and members at the BBT to do so, if we're going to base it on anything, three times daily. Once when we wake in the morning, in the middle of the day, and once before we go to sleep. So I don't argue with people, you know, but it's things that I can show. Be like, because the so-called 5 or the 7 pillars is not found in the Quran or with the K to Q. All of it is tradition, not law, which they say fard or halal, you know, brothers be saying, with all disrespect. I mean, with no disrespect, excuse me. I didn't mean with all disrespect, you know, with respect. I just want you to look at things. So when people use religion, and I say I'm not on that level, I'm not Orthodox, but I understand where you're coming from. I'm coming from a little higher level, right? And the salat of one Muslim may differ from another in minor details, which can affect the precise actions and words involved, right? And the difference occurs because of different interpretations of the Islamic legal sources by different Mahdis or Mahas, schools of law in Sunni Islam, and by different legal traditions within Shiism Muslim, which in Shiism, you know, a lot of Muslims believe that the Prophet Muhammad practiced, taught, and disseminated the worship ritual in the whole community and made it part of their life, right? No disrespect, right? But in basic form of the Salah, it is not based on the Hadith or the Quran, but on the, you know, on the, how can I say, that understanding of Muslims, right? or the, how can we say, consensus of those Muslims. And difference also occur due to optional, recommended rather than obligatory articles of the Salat. You know, like which verses to recite, different performances of the Salat varies from one Muslim to another, right? Because it's not in the Quran. It's only a tradition, right? And the most universally accepted tradition is called what? Orthodox, right? And remember, tradition does not make law. Only the Quran can make it law, right? Can make it fire or halal, right? 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 Muslims believe that the Prophet Muhammad practiced, taught. It don't say an actual record of this, which is why the Salat varies from different Muslims, right? The basic form of the Salat is not based on the Hadith of the Quran, and a number of Salats mentioned by their respective names in Arabic in the Quran are the Salat Fars, right, which is the dawn prayer, Ayat 24 and 58, Salat al-Wusta, middle prayer, Ayat 2, 238, 17 and 78, Salat Isa, the night and the evening prayer, Ayat 24 and 58, right? We just having a little build, 'cause we got to get out of here. And when studying these ayats, the student can see no specific way of performing these salats, right? There's no mention of how to make a rakat, which is a ritualized ruku. And the word rakat is only speaking of a ruku, not a qiyam, not a shada or a jalsa. And these salats are mentioned in the Quran by their names as salat in Arabic, salat dahr per se, salat asar per se, salat maghrib. And remember, I told y'all earlier in teachings, maghrib does not mean sunset in this context. It means west. And a lot of students debate the words, the dhuhr and the asr and maghrib are used in the Quran, but not as terms of defining the salat. And the word noon is used, but not as a salat time or a salat al-dahr, but rather a time of privacy, a time of rest. Remember? Read ayat 24 and 58, right? So the salat dahr per se is a time of rest. That's it. Establish regular prayers at sun's decline to the darkness of the night, and the morning prayer and reading for the prayer in the morning. Carry their testimony. Establish worship at the going down of the sun until the dark of night, and the recital of the Quran at dawn. The recital of the Quran at dawn is ever witness. Perform the salat, aka, listen clearly, the al-salat, to the descending of the sun, al-shamshi, to the darkness of the light, al-layli, and the Quran in the morning, al-farji. Verily, the Quran is the morning, and al-farji will be that which is witness, mashwadan, right? And the word duluk per se, D-U-L-U-K, right? In this context, it means to rub, right? This is the scholar, your proof with no agenda but truth and love. Y'all missing it? Yeah. But the word duluk means to rub and represents when the sun is rubbing the horizon and the sunset. And the Quran only tells the student to perform, which some translate as establish, and the salat at the descending of the sun. This is the late afternoon, and after the sun was at its highest, and it's headed down to set in the darkness of night, right? Right? This would also be considered the wusta, right? When we talk about the middle, when you are standing, right? Right? And the kumi, the morning, is used primarily for what? Reading the Quran. If we're going to break this specific context down, for you can have something to compare to, because you don't have to believe nothing I say. I'm just giving you something where you can say, aha. Be guardians of your prayers and of midmost prayer, and stand up. Do what? Stand up. What? Stand up with devotion to Allah. Attend constantly to prayers and to the middle prayer, and stand up. Here go stand up again. What? Truly obedient to Allah. Protect the hafdu over the salat, the al-salat, and the salat, the al-salat of the middle, the al-wusta, and stand to, toward, before, facing Allah, without speaking, In this context, the salat is done how? Standing. And if the student will remember, it's mentioned of other forms of positions of praise, respect such as the shajah or the sajah, which is what? Prostrating. You can find this in the Bible too, right? And the ruku, which is bowing. You can find this in the Bible too. But here, it specifically notes that the al-salat is done standing before Allah, right? And how? In silence, right? So meditate on this. And then on your Moorish Quran, right? Chapter 11, when speaking of the what? The Elohim, right? Especially, that's why I know Moors don't study their Moorish Quran. I done gathered, compiled, and divinely prepared the wisdom for brothers. Why don't y'all want to rock with me? Who you believe, let those who your right hands possess, and those of you who have not attained to puberty, ask permission of you 3 times before your morning prayer, and when you put off your clothes at midday in the summer, and after the prayer of the nightfall. These are the 3 times of privacy for you. Neither is it a sin for you, nor of them. Besides these, some of you must go around about waiting upon others. Thus does Allah make clear to us the commandments, and Allah is all-knowing, wise. When I tell y'all, I'm God, why you got a problem with that? And the teachings I'm telling you is showing you who's going out and do that. I told you what the al-salat is. There's no reason to argue with me. Right? 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 It speaks of two salats are mentioned. The salati al-fajr, the morning salat, the salat al-aisha, the evening salat, the salat al-aisha is al-salat al-wusta, because nighttime salat, aka which is worship, it would be layli. And the Quran speaks of 2 worships, understanding science and spiritually. I can see all of these 3 different salats. You know, the salat al-fajr, the salat al-wusta, and the salat al-aisha, right? 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 These salats should be performed while what? Standing. You can't deny what I'm saying. While what? Standing. Not prostrating or bowing. I get that. But then I can show you in other stuff when I say, no, we coming together. We coming together. We coming to the kumbaya. Stand up. Standing, not prostrating or bowing, because of the salat, which is the worship, is done standing according to the Quran. But the Muslims in the East, they added all the different positions mentioned in the Quran, the chaotic cue, and made up a rakat. So a rakat, if you understand, is a ritualized performance of different positions. A ritual, aka a tradition, not law, right? Qiyam is done first, and Qiyam is the only position done twice in a rakat, because it's the only position that's prescribed by the Quran during a salat, other times known as the sajah, which is prostrating, and a ruku, which is bowing, right? 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 And the al-salat al-wusta is the only one that has a position mentioned, which is standing. Kumu, the only one called al-salat, meaning it's the only one seen, right? Right? As an institution, while the other 2 are simply called a salat, not an al-salat. And thus it's just worship, meaning worship in the morning, evening, not a specific morning worship and a specific evening worship. And then if we really illuminate this situation, or the subject matter per se, it says, let your servant go worship, while you use that time for yourself, away from them. But if this was about Muslim per se, I thought all Muslims worship together, right? See, look, let me give you all a little bit more. Chapter 1 and chapter 11 of your Moorish Quran are quite comparable, mirroring each and illuminating mutual commentary and understanding for the other. Because chapter 1 speaks of the planes, right? The spirit, the soul, the manifest. Chapter 11 speaks of what? The 7 planes. Angel, cherubim, man, beast, plant, earth, protoplasm, right? Chapter 1 speaks of Allah. Chapter 11 speaks of the true in Allah and the 7 Elohims, right? Chapter 11 speaks of the one thought of Allah and his thought of man. And chapter 11 speaks of the 7 ethers, right? those 7 ether planes of experience, literally teaming with that unique thought of Allah, that's other than man, that will unfold into perfection of its own kind and 9 others, right? So we can compare these chapters and I can superimpose them. And that's what I've done. Chapter 1 speaks of the carnal nature that sprang forth from the soul of experience, of sensation, through the vehicle of the flesh. And chapter 11 speaks of man's sluggish well-being, the catalyst of and the rise of carnal nature being the result of the fall. As in our original state, all creatures on all planes sustain, nourish our bodies via what? Breathing. Yet the fall caused the stronger manifest to get nourishment indirectly. How? By devouring the weaker manifest. Did you see the science in that? So I don't want to stay too far in that, but it's so much that I put very simple. So I really, really hope brothers rock with your brother, man, because the science is made easy. Get you a fez, and I broke down just the little basics about the fez. It's very simple. A lot of other stuff. Our Adapt Study Guide and the House of Ali, just some basics, you know. We talk about knowledge and we talk about lessons of the divine love, you know, coming from the teachings, our Moorish mantras, you know, our Moorish Adapt Study Guide, the House of Ali. I got a lot of wisdom in these manuscripts, you know, prayers we do in the morning, Moorish American prayer, our Moorish protection prayer, angels and the duties from chapter 1 of our Holy Moorish Quran. I have it all in here for you. I gathered and compiled all the wisdom and made it an easy read where people can be like, man, yep, it is very simple. And you would be like, man, thank you, brother. Because I've gotten that from people that ain't even in the science. It's like I have a clear understanding. This one is the interpretation of the divine creed of Moorish Islam. And these two is the Euro and Nicocentric propaganda and the 14 famous Asiatic scientists of history. And now y'all can get all these books as ebooks for a $40 donation if you want them. I got to get out of here, man. But thanks again. Y'all know my email, goodmany@gmail.com. My office number is 602-473-8767. But I'm about to eat, man, so please just send me a text, say peace. But once again, I have a whole book bundle and when I show y'all, it's worth $3,000, and brothers can get that book bundle from me if y'all want them, and I'll show you their amazing books that you want for your library. But if brothers want these books from me, my books that I gathered and compiled, $40 donation, you can get all 9 books. But if you are more and you study the science and you looking for the purchase of fez, I have them on my website at moorishaberdasher.com. moorishaberdasher.com, and I'll give you a free turban or a free she-mag. This is a she-mag, and I'll show you how to tie them, you know, and just send me an email, and we can start building together or studying together, you know, and I have my own private Zoom where I can have, I forget, X amount of people I pay for each month. And so I do a lot of teachings privately on Zoom that I don't talk about or share, like, because we purchase land and we do other things. We got another project we putting together that we're trying to buy this land. I talk about it a little bit, but it be falling on deaf ears with a lot of people. So I do have a small group of people from different areas that's like, yeah, I definitely want to rock with that. And so we talk about that on private Zoom twice a week. We're getting ready to do it 3 times a week because we close. We done raised, $50,000 already. And so, like I said, I'm trying to raise $360,000 in 1 year. And so if we keep doing that and having that type of money coming in, we'll not only be able to buy the building for for a cash price, but we'll be able to keep the lights on. We'll be able to do other things. And then as people see the trust, people will be like, man, I can give more. Why? Because we can. Because people spend it and waste it, and then we can do a lot more and really, really do some work. So with that being said, man, if y'all want my books, I just share them with y'all. I have so much gratitude if y'all purchase my books. If at least 10 people on here purchase them, and I give you some extra, I give you a bonus book that costs a nice penny. Why? Just for the love, just for you supporting me. But once again, y'all know my info. It's in my bio. Once again, GOODMANKHARY@gmail.com. And my office number is 602-473-8767. 8767. It's probably gonna go straight to email because I put it on like that because I'm about to go to bed and it's connected to my website. So check out our website as well at morrishaberdasher.com. And if you order a fez, let me know. And then I'm gonna ship you a free turban, and then I'm gonna show you how to tie it. You know, a turban or a she-mag, and I might send you both. You know, but with that being said, I love y'all, man, and we out. Peace.